Republicans have been very kind to me from the beginning. Even from the beginning, when Bobby was running as a Democrat, they weren't mean.
No.
And they never have been.
No.
And I can't say that for the Democrats.
I agree.
And it's
sad because it's not the Democrats we grew up with.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the difference that people don't, I think, see. They're like, why did you turn on the Democrats? Well, first of all, I didn't. Like I said, we voted for the same person. But I'm not going to pretend I don't notice how different they are.
Yeah.
How mean. Yeah. I think he actually wants more people around him for a stimulating conversation.
Yeah.
I was very surprised and mentioned it again, they hated me for it, that as opposed to so many important people I've met who, when you talk to them, you don't feel like they're really listening. They're kind of like, you know what I mean? And then when they answer you, it doesn't quite track, you know?
You're just waiting for their turn to talk.
Bill Maher and Cheryl Hines teamed up to call out the Democrats, and the result was unexpectedly hilarious. The longtime loyalists broke down how the party has shifted and, in their view, collapsed in recent years, especially as Donald Trump's popularity has surged. They also explained why they've grown disillusioned with a party that was once their beacon of hope, but now feels almost unrecognizable. So let's dive in.
Good thing about Trump, he really, really does not like war.
Which I love that about him.
I kind of do, because I don't want war either, and most of them are unnecessary.
Agreed.
I mean, he took a long time when I had that dinner with him talking about the pictures he sees coming from Ukraine, the stuff that doesn't get out on the news. It's like raw footage of bodies in the field.
Yes.
And you could tell it really moved him. It's like, I do not want to see this, and I'm the kind of guy who can fix this.
It's genuinely fascinating to see Cheryl Hines and Bill Maher openly acknowledge that there's something they actually appreciate about Donald Trump. Coming from two figures who once epitomized relentless criticism of Trump, especially Maher, this shift is striking. For years, Maher's commentary was the go-to source for sharp, unyielding jabs at Trump and the Republican Party. Now, this more reflective version of Maher has disrupted the familiar script, attracting unexpected supporters while simultaneously alienating some of his longtime allies. Many within his own circles aren't sure how to interpret it. Some argue that Maher has simply grown frustrated with the Democrats' inconsistencies, while others suggest he may have been softened, or even charmed, by Trump after their widely discussed dinner. Whatever the reason, the change is undeniable, and it's generating far more conversation than anything Maher said during his years of predictable party-line commentary.
He's never not going to be Trump. So, of course, he's like, I solved 9 wars. And, you know, okay, even if it's half that, it's still good that we're solving them and not starting them.
That's the thing that I find that I really like about President Trump when he talks about wars and talks about Ukraine. And he talks about Ukraine and Russia, and he will say they're losing people on both sides.
Donald Trump has repeatedly said he has no interest in pulling the U.S. into prolonged foreign conflicts, and he's emphasized that ending the war in Ukraine would be one of his top priorities. Whether people agree with his approach or not, his tactics appear to be shifting the conversation. Trump has consistently stated that he wants the conflict brought to a close, and Maher noted that this stance stands in sharp contrast to President Biden's. That alone suggests a notable change in momentum. And regardless of how one views Trump personally, it's hard to ignore that this development echoes what President Biden spent years hoping to achieve, yet was unable to fully deliver during his time in office. While Biden pursued diplomatic strategies that never fully took hold, Trump's unconventional pressure-based approach seems to be influencing the situation, or at least redirecting it. If this trajectory continues, it could become a significant political win for Trump. One with implications far beyond U.S. borders.
He was just asking me about when I met him, what surprised me the most, and I said I was surprised that he really likes to listen to people. He's very curious and what
they
you have to say.
hated when I said that. Again, because I'm just telling you what happened. What, should I lie?
I guess so. I guess
right. He kicked me in the balls under the table, and then
I knew he would.
He threw the spaghetti against the wall when I raised the subject of tariffs. No. No.
I can already imagine plenty of Democrats fuming over Bill Maher's recent comments about Donald Trump. For years, Maher was expected to stick to the familiar party script and deliver nonstop criticism. But the moment he showed even a hint of admiration, or simply acknowledged that Trump can be surprisingly pleasant and likable, everything shifted. Cheryl Hines has seen that side of Trump as well, and her experience only reinforces what many have refused to acknowledge. The expectation was that Maher, after meeting Trump in person, would return with even sharper insults and heightened outrage. Instead, he came back with nuance, and that alone has sparked an emotional backlash among some of his own supporters. What this really reveals is the mindset of certain people. Their dislike of Trump doesn't come from personal experience or individual judgment, but from being told they should hate him. And Maher just disrupted that script.
Listen.
Yeah, I think he actually wants more people around him for stimulating conversation.
Yeah.
I was very surprised at, and mentioned it again, they hated me for it, that as opposed to so many important people I've met who, when you talk to them, you don't feel like they're really listening. They're kind of like, you know what I mean? And then when they answer you, it doesn't quite track, you know?
You're just waiting for their turn to talk.
This moment is both hilarious and eye-opening. We all know politicians walk into interviews armed with pre-planned talking points, rehearsed lines, and carefully crafted narratives. It's almost as if they're reading from an invisible script hovering just above the camera. And even when an interviewer tries to throw them off with unexpected or challenging questions, most politicians refuse to budge. They stick to their talking points with almost robotic determination, repeating the same phrases again and again, even when their answers no longer match the question. This creates those strange, awkward moments where you can see the disconnect happening in real time. The interviewer asks something direct and reasonable, and the politician responds with something completely unrelated but perfectly on message. That's why this particular moment stands out. It exposes just how conditioned many politicians are, and how refreshing it is when someone actually breaks away from the script.
Just on a different level. I mean, these are show people too. I've had that. But I didn't get that with him at all.
No.
I got a guy who looked in my eye, was listening to what I said, waited until I finished, even when it was contradictory, when it was he never got blustery or mad about it. You know, he said some things that I don't agree with and some things that I think are just, you know, plainly not right, like, you know, third term. Yeah, I think you could do it. I'm having people look into it. No, you can't do it. And you can have people look into it from now until the end of time. It's like 12 words in the Constitution. You can't do it.
This also helps explain why Kamala Harris so often delivered broad, vague answers instead of concrete specifics. Even when a question called for clarity or detail, she frequently slipped into those now famous word salads, long, polished-sounding sentences that ultimately said very little. Watching her interviews, it often felt as if she wasn't fully engaging with the question being asked. Instead, she seemed intent on steering back to the talking points she'd rehearsed, even when they didn't fit the moment. That constant return to overly scripted responses created a sense of detachment, almost as if she were waiting for the safe questions to come up so she could retreat to her comfort zone. And when politicians operate this way, prioritizing the script over genuine interaction, it becomes painfully obvious. Harris's interviews became a clear example of how sticking too rigidly to prepared lines can leave viewers feeling confused, unconvinced, and disconnected.
He didn't get mad.
Right.
And then I also made the point that, you know, I went home that night and I was getting into bed in 60 Minutes. I taped it, and there he is on 60 Minutes, and he's like ranting and raving. I'm like, who's this guy? This is not the guy I met.
Yeah.
And, so I'm just a reporter here. I'm just telling you.
This was my experience.
Remember, these aren't casual observers or neutral commentators. These are lifelong, committed Democrats who suddenly have something positive to say about their fiercest political opponent, Donald Trump. And that alone is enough to send shockwaves through certain corners of the left. For years, the expectation has been unambiguous. Democrats must remain unified in their disdain for Trump. No exceptions, no nuance, no independent thought. So when figures like BillMaher and Cheryl Hines break from that script and acknowledge that Trump has redeeming qualities or moments worth noting, it infuriates some Democrats and left-leaning media outlets. It disrupts a narrative they've worked hard to reinforce. They don't want anyone, even within their own ranks, expressing anything other than anger or outrage toward Trump. The idea that a Democrat could appreciate anything about him
Republicans have been very kind to me from the beginning. Even from the beginning, when Bobby was running as a Democrat, they weren't mean.
No.
And they never have been.
No.
And I can't say that for the Democrats.
I agree.
And
it's sad because it's not the Democrats we grew up with.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the difference that people don't, I think, see. They're like, why did you turn on the Democrats? Well, first of all, I didn't. Like I said, we voted for the same person. But I'm not going to pretend I don't notice how different they are.
Yeah.
How mean they.
For years, Republicans were routinely portrayed as the harsh, inflexible side of American politics. But now, BillMaher and Cheryl Hines are flipping that narrative based on their own experiences and observations. It's becoming increasingly evident that the Democratic Party can be just as severe, if not more so, especially toward anyone who dares to disagree. The moment you step out of line or voice an opinion that doesn't perfectly align with the approved narrative, the response isn't just debate. It's backlash. Critics are labeled, attacked, and in many cases, pushed toward cancellation. The message is clear. Fall in line completely or face the consequences. Maher and Hines drawing attention to this shift is significant because it highlights a reality many have sensed but hesitated to express. The Democrats aren't always the compassionate side. They can be remarkably ruthless.
Democrats have been having a lot of donor retreats lately where liberal strategists hold ideathons, where they try to figure out why they keep losing elections. You know, apart from using words like ideathon. And now one idea that's getting a lot of attention is the Dems need to find their Joe Rogan, a liberal Joe Rogan, because that's why common law lost. Republicans have a podcast.
That's true. But Democrats don't just need their own version of Joe Rogan. They also desperately need their own version of Donald Trump. Someone sincere, bluntly honest, unafraid to speak plainly, and bold enough to stand up to the ever-expanding woke faction. Someone willing to push back against the party's growing drift towards socialist impulses without hesitation. What the party lacks right now is a figure with real backbone, someone who can take criticism, acknowledge their flaws, and resist the pressure to conform to every new ideological trend. They need leaders who aren't afraid of upsetting Twitter, who won't hide behind rehearsed talking points, and who can inspire genuine confidence by being authentic. Maher's point is simple. The party doesn't just need new voices. It needs strong, grounded personalities who are willing to challenge their own side when necessary. Only then can it begin to rebuild credibility. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.